So according to a McKinsey and Company survey, nearly half of the employees who voluntarily left the workforce during the pandemic aren't coming back on their own. So if you're looking for talent, if you're looking for someone to fill that role, you're going to have to go find them. And the landscape has changed. That is what we're going to attack today at the PNB episode on It's Personal for Talent Wars. So let's look into it. Hello, and welcome to the PNB Nation, where it is all personal, not business. I'm your host, Mr. Rico, and I will be your guide through all things people and give you in-depth insights, strategies, and the secrets to behavioral dynamics to creating a common language for understanding people in and out of the workplace. So let's get started. During the pandemic, many people left. And McKinsey and Company just came out with this survey that I found really interesting that I think we should really look at because it gives some great advice on what to do and how to look at the talent pool and landscape. So I want to read a little bit about this report so we can get some context. Now, it says that workers are leaving your company faster than can be replaced. As of December 2021, there were 4.3 million people. That's a lot of people who voluntarily quit their jobs. That is a record high based off November 2021. Now, the number of current job openings is 10.9 million, which exceeds the new hires of 6.3 million. So McKinsey did a survey of 600 workers who voluntarily left their job without having another job to go to. And 44% said that they have little to no interest in returning to traditional jobs in the next 6 months. That is staggering. But understanding why employees are leaving is critical, especially as now that we're post-pandemic, there is a lot of job openings, there is a lot of opportunities. Well, why aren't they coming back? One of the key strategies that organizations, especially if you're a medium-sized business owner up to almost a large company, when you have multiple roles, is having to change how we attract and how do we keep talent. Now, typically is compensation tends to be the carrot that would bring a lot of that talent, but we have to change our approach. So here's a couple of things that McKinsey found in their survey and in their research that I think you as the listener and the viewer can take advantage of. So adequate compensation and benefit packages, if we were playing poker and this is a game of poker, that's just the ante. That is what you have to at least provide to even be considered to be part of the game. But what do we need to do to win? You must recognize that the rules of the game have changed. So while workers are demanding and they are receiving higher compensation, it is bigger than that. Many of them want flexibility. They want community. They want an inclusive culture. These are all relational factors. This is the personal side of business. And here it's personal, not business. Our ethos is to help you navigate the human nature of business. What the pandemic forced a lot of organizations to do is to look at the people side of business versus the transactional part of business. And this is why one of the big reasons why talent is so hard to find or to bring them back is because companies have to change how they compensate outside of the financial elements. Now, workers who aren't currently looking to rejoin the labor market, and I'm reading here, they left for a reason. So let's explore what those reasons were. One, because they could. Pandemic forced them. They got home. They were locked down for 2 years, and they started to recognize, I have to change my priorities and what's valuable to me. And when you start to think about, most of those jobs had a lot of anxiety or stress. Well, that's no longer the case. Also, the cost of switching jobs is cheaper. In most cases, they actually get an increase for getting from one job to another. And There's a lot less stigma now because of the pandemic of having gaps in your resume. Now, because of the current labor shortage, there's a lot more opportunity, and more organizations are more willing to just put a warm body in the seat sometimes, and somewhat to their detriment. The next reason, they were upset. Employees were upset. Those who voluntarily left cited experiences with, and I see this so much and it's frustrating, uncaring leaders, unsustained expectations of work performance or performances that were constantly changing, and lack of career advancements. Such simple, and this is frustrating, such simple adjustments that would have kept people there. If you are a leader, if you are a business owner, you are dealing with a community of individuals, people who have emotions, they have futures, they have families, they have careers that they want to think about. They have a vision for their future that they're hoping they can achieve through your organization. So when you make it about just measuring worth through quotas and numbers and money, well, at some point in time, that is no longer enough. And that is why they were upset. Also, and by far, most of you can probably relate, they were exhausted. Poor mental health after burnout and stress, family care demands, and reflections on purpose because of the COVID-19. So taking care of kids, taking care of elderly, taking care of family, between doing that and a job, not too many people can handle that. So they had this really cool graph, and I'll put it up on the comments below so you to see, as to the top reasons why employees left their job, their probably good paying job careers, and most of them why they're not returning unless these factors are at the forefront of why you're hiring. This is why changing your job descriptions, your interviews, who you're looking for, we're going to address that here in a moment. But at the very top, over 68% uncaring leaders. This is a big reason why I wrote my book. It's not business, it's personal. And I have this podcast, helping leaders understand connection, communication, empathy, trust. All those things are key elements, especially for the next generation of employees to choose you as a preferred employee or employer, or why they will stay. How do we make this personal, folks? Unsustainable work performance expectations. Organization had these expectations, and based on the trends, the market, and the reality of the marketplace, there was not going to happen. So what do organizations do in the past? PIPs, performance improvement plans. Or if you can't make it, you move on, because they were secure that they could find top performers. That's reverse. This is now in an employee culture, not a market for companies with money. Lack of career development and advancement potential. You will hear me a lot through these podcasts talk about career paths. People need to have clarity. What is the North Star? What are my opportunities? Am I going to meet my personal and family goals? Are you willing to invest in me? I can't tell you how simple this is, that if companies just clearly defined career paths, were willing to invest in those individuals, much longer, how loyal those employees will be. But what companies were afraid in the past, if I invest in you, you're going to go somewhere else. Well, if you don't invest in them, well, guess what? This is exactly what happened. Mass exodus. Lack of support for employee health and well-being. This is a topic that we hear quite a lot. And I'm going to give you some ideas on some future episodes, and some here on some ideas how you can use different incentives around this. This has become a great topic that needed to be discussed, but it took a pandemic and 2 years of lockdown to finally make it a serious topic to address. The pressure. I just heard somewhere that over 90% of most of our organic health issues are stress-induced. No wonder people are looking for, how do I maintain a quality of life, balance, healthcare? Inadequate total compensation package. And how often, especially if you're a medium-sized company, are you having employees go above and beyond their job description or their responsibilities? If you were taking care of them in other areas and not using just financial compensation, they'd be happy to do so. But there comes a time where it feels like you're now taking advantage of me. Another reason why they left. So, are they going to come back? What do I need to do to continue to attract and find people? Well, the research showed that 25% of the employees who voluntarily left and then returned to both traditional and non-traditional roles are at least somewhat likely to leave current employees in the next 6 months. Why? Because they know they have other opportunities. There's now flexibility in the marketplace above and beyond compensation. They're looking for professional development, workplace flexibility, support for mental and physical health, and other needs that are being met by one company, they will look for in other companies. So this is critical. If you're looking to attract quality performers, top talent, you have to include this as part of your compensation. Now, I'm not saying that you just throw everything out there. Talking and listening to your current employees and understanding what is it that's important to them. I heard one company that was offering landscaping, housekeeping for individuals, especially single parents, Ubers, different things. You're going to have to be creative and out of the box thinker and find what is their true need. How can I make their life easier so they can see the value in what we do? Out of almost 600 employees who were polled for this survey that voluntarily left their job, 47% returned to the workplace. Almost a quarter of those returned individuals you took up non-traditional work, things that were out of their scope, out of their degrees, out of their skill set. 76% went back to traditional employment. So once you understand why they left, what's important to them, now you have to start to restructure, how do I bring them back into the fold? So how do we play to win? Number one of the things that McKinsey's survey said is you've got to make your workplace sticky. Well, what does that look like? What do you mean by sticky? So first, like I just said, listening to your employees. Those who are there, those who stood by through the pandemic, those that have been there for more than a year. Sit down and have a conversation. Nobody has all of the answers, but it's no different than sales. You have to understand what is their pain point, what is their definition of value, how do I make it simple, and how do I make it easy for them to achieve what they're looking for? Because if they feel as they're part of a community and it's easy for them to do and you've been heard, you're most likely to attract more like-minded. You need to interview those individuals. Another thing that I saw that I really liked about this survey is fostering psychological safety or a sense of community and measuring outcomes. I keep hearing that statement, community, not family like you used to hear. It's about community. How do I make it safe to be here, supportive, part of the same tribe? Am I attracting the right kind of people with the right mindset that creates that culture? So most companies who try to figure this out do exit interviews for those who are already disgruntled, disengaged, and upset. Well, reverse it. Do stay interviews. Asking people what is for most critical roles, the ones that influence, the ones that really are the milestones for the organization, how are they doing and what do they need to continue to stay on those roles, to be happy on those roles, to be advocate of the organization, and may even go out and recruit people for you. Now, that's option A. Option B is also expanding your mindset of what your talent pool looks like. Traditionally, you have certain skill sets, experiences, education, all of those things to do that role really well, to shorten the learning curve. Well, that's no longer existing. If you are struggling to find new talent, to bring just any talent to your door, you're going to have to expand how and what talent pool you go after. So most of interviews, you're screening, you're interviewing, you're hiring candidates to fit that traditional role. Well, to compete in this talent war, you're going to have to go beyond the traditional talent. You're going to have to look at non-traditional college kids, employees who left that may have come back even part-time, even retirees coming back as trainers, consultants, anything to add value to the workplace. Part-time work is something that you should be considering, or you're also competing with those individuals who maybe have a side gig or a startup. Well, what can you offer them that they see the value in working with you, even if it's part-time? So as we start looking through this, and we're going to put together different episodes and build on this, it's good to understand, why did the talent leave and what are they looking for? Sitting down with your leadership team and also top talent or individuals that represent the variation of talent that you have in your organization, and see what would be of importance and value to them outside of the traditional compensation. Making that part of your job description. Also, in your interview questions, what are some of the key things you would look for in an organization outside of the traditional means of contribution that would engage you, or that you would find interesting or of value if they were to offer? You have to get in more data and more input. If you start doing these things and you incorporate and bring on board your existing talent pool, you're going to find you're going to create a cohesive environment that naturally attracts the right people. But it's not just about attracting, it's about keeping. And if you don't do nothing else, guys and ladies, please make the adjustments of, instead of uncaring leaders, how can it be a more connected leader, communication leader? How can I build trust as a leader? How can I make the work performance more sustainable, where they can also know what to expect? And above all, I think the key missing link, your ace up your sleeve if you're doing this, is how to create career paths and career development programs, either to reskill current employees who are looking for other opportunities, or upskill individuals to feel like you are investing in me. If you're just doing those three things, you've got to take care of your house first, and that attracts other people. I hope this was helpful. I will put a lot of this information in the survey in the show notes. Hit that subscribe button if this was of value. Hit that thumbs up and the bell, and make sure that you leave a comment. This way I know that we're on track and giving you quality information. Also, any suggestions on topic around leadership, team development and training, communication, anything around the human element of business, we will be able to attack. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on our next episode.